Elon Musk is currently working to carry out the very first manned mission to Mars as soon as 2029. But will this really be the first?
Well, let's start by talking a little bit about the title. Alternative 3, the 1977 mockumentary television series that changed the world. The show took a deep dive into the mysterious disappearances and deaths of physicists, engineers, astronomers, and other intellectuals. Prior to the death of one Professor Balatain of the Jordell Bank Center of Astrophysics, he had alluded to having obtained footage of something that could turn the entire world on its head. He sent it in to the press, but when they pressed play on the tape, they were greeted with nothing but static. It was later revealed that the deceased and missing intellectuals had been involved in a top-secret American-Soviet plan to colonize both Mars and the Moon, due to the fact that in the near future, the surface of Earth would no longer be able to support human life as a result of pollution. The film ends with the Americans and Soviets landing on Mars as an unknown organism moves along the surface of the red planet. While the mockumentary was in fact a work of fiction, so they say, some people couldn't help but take it seriously, and even those who saw it for what it supposedly was, fake, began to question whether or not there were in fact very real organizations who had either successfully attempted or were currently attempting the very thing they had seen in the film. While the thought of living on Mars might seem outlandish, there are some incredible similarities between the red planet and Earth that have led people to believe that we will one day be able to, or we already have, turned Mars into our own personal oasis. For starters, like Earth, Mars has 4 seasons, albeit those seasons are pretty drawn out due to the fact that a year on Mars is equivalent to about 668.5 days on Earth, but that's besides the point. And the length of the days are roughly the same, there's just more of them. Mars is also covered in water that flows in the summer and freezes in the wintertime, and I feel like I don't need to tell you that water is an absolute must for possible planetary relocation. Mars also has polar caps like Earth and waterfalls, islands, possibly suitable conditions for plant growth, and even its own version of the Northern Lights. So if you are worried about losing the view, don't worry, pretty there. Oh, and it only takes about 8 months to get there. In the scheme of a lifetime, it's really not that bad, especially if life on Earth is no longer possible. If you would leave your life behind here in favor of a brave new space adventure to Mars, let me know down below.
Randy Kramer claims he was taken by a secret government space program called MyLab, which is a contraction of military abduction. This program supposedly trained people to become super soldiers for secret space missions. Now, I love that this guy's last name is Kramer. Kinda sounds like something Kramer from Seinfeld would like start rambling to Jerry about. Like, they whisk me up into space, Jerry. After his training, Kramer says he joined a military group called the Mars Defense Force, or MDF. The MDF was a combined effort by different Earth governments to protect 5 growing colonies on Mars, and Kramer remembers visiting the first colony called Ares Prime. He says it had an Earth-like environment with farmers, engineers, government workers. His job was to defend these bases from native Martians and other alien species that would attack, I guess. Kramer says he served on Mars for 17 years before being moved to the moon for the last 3 years of his service. He also talks about this 20 and back program where participants agreed to serve for 20 years, sign a bunch of consent forms, and then have their memories erased and their bodies regressed to the age they were when they started, then sent back in time to just minutes after they first left. Very confusing. According to some insiders, only a small percentage of these participants ever get their memories back. Well, thank you, Kramer, for getting your memories back. I also like that his first name is Ryan. That's just funny. I imagine aliens fighting a guy named Ryan. You've messed with us the last time, Ryan. The time it takes to get to Mars is a bit of an inconvenience, though. I mean, lugging all these kidnapped, brainwashed soldiers through space for months on end, that is just totally not cool. But that's why there's the Mars Jump Room, basically a real-life transporter that absolutely 100% does exist. The CIA has developed a special technology called a jump room that lets people instantly travel between Earth and Mars. Apparently this room looks a bit like a normal elevator, but then within seconds, you're on Mars. Another whistleblower, Laura Eisenhower, the great-granddaughter of President Dwight Eisenhower, is also mentioned this Mars jump room, claiming she was recruited for the program but then turned it down. According to her, the US government has been secretly exploring Mars for decades. Now, see, I do question this for many reasons, but the thing that I find really far-fetched is that technology like this would be hidden instead of exploited. Wouldn't people be trying to get rich off of this? Think of how much you could charge people. You don't have to go to Mars, just like travel instantly across the globe.
According to some, including Michael Ralphie and Dr. Andrew D. Basiago, not only have CIA agents been to Mars, they used time travel to get there. Ralphie and Basiago claim that after Nikola Tesla died in the early 1940s, the government stormed his hotel room to look through his notes for any sign that he had successfully completed something called a death ray that could wipe out entire armies in minutes from a great distance. Well, they couldn't find that, but what they did find, according to Ralphie and Basiago, was a conceptualization of a portal that could potentially alter time and allow for teleportation. Apparently in 1976, the CIA began recruiting agents to work on the project, which took a total of 2 decades to complete. The goal? To install 2 colonies on Mars. When the mission came to an end, all of the participants were returned to Earth the same age they had been when the project started. Many experienced memory loss, but a select few, including Michael Ralphie, were able to maintain the memory of the experience in their mind. Dr. Basiago later claimed that the mission was not only to colonize Mars, but also to influence politics, saying that in 1971 he was shown a photograph of a certain September 2011 disaster that had been brought back from the future, a disaster that he believes was an inside job.
SSP Alliance, or Secret Space Program Alliance, is said to be at the top of the secret space program's hierarchy. This group reportedly has a spot in a powerful organization called the Super Federation. The Super Federation includes over 60 extraterrestrial species that supposedly conduct experiments on Earth's humans, animals, plants. But the SSP Alliance has also made contact with the Galactic Federation, which is made up of hundreds of friendly extraterrestrial races. They're basically like the Federation from Star Trek. Benevolent aliens who work together for the good of the universe. I don't know why the SSP wouldn't just align themselves with these aliens instead of putting up with the ones doing all the creepy experiments, but I guess they are the Super Federation after all. They're just too powerful. You gotta call in, what was his name? Ryan Kramer? Get him in there. He'll solve it all. The SSP Alliance is supposedly also communicated with an advanced society of humans living beneath the surface of the Earth in large climate-controlled chambers. They're believed to be part of multiple groups that branched off from the natural development of humans on Earth.
The military-industrial complex Secret Space Program is yet another organization that is believed to have a base on Mars, a military base, or should I say military bases, located in Earth orbit, on Mars, and on the Moon. The military-industrial complex Secret Space Program, or MIC-SSP for short, is part of an intergalactic federation made up of both human and extraterrestrial members and organizations. According to insiders, the federation is currently entangled in an ongoing debate about how and when they will reveal themselves and the existence of extraterrestrials and advanced technology to the people of Earth. The general consensus is that it should happen gradually, but certain organizations, such as MIC-SSP, believe that the big reveal should be happening sooner rather than later, which other members of the Federation, such as the Earth Alliance and the Global Galactic League of Nations, believe that it's important to take a more subtle approach so as to not cause mass panic and cause a complete global economic crash. The subtle approach in question? Sneaking clues about the existence of aliens and intergalactic space programs into our media, music, news, literature, and more, so that we get more familiar and comfortable with the idea of one day coexisting with some of the 60 alien species said to be a part of the Federation. So, maybe Alternative 3 wasn't all fiction. Possibly it was a government plant to get us a little more comfortable with the idea of what's potentially to come.
In 2014, the National Security Archive released documents about Project Horizon, which was a secret plan from 1959 to build a permanent base on the Moon. The main goal of this project wasn't to explore space, but to get an edge over the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The plan for Project Horizon horizon included setting up a moon-to-Earth surveillance system, which would act as a lookout point for Earth. The people who put together the initial report were very serious about starting construction as soon as possible. Now, the US did land astronauts on the moon several times between 1969 and 72. The missions were brief though. They looked around, they collected some rocks, and then they left. But some conspiracy theorists think that more happened, that the moon missions were a cover-up for this secret construction of a permanent base on the moon, and it goes further. Perhaps this was just the beginning, according to certain conspiracies, anyway. If the government was looking into building facilities on the moon, then Mars would be the next logical step, and some think there's already a hidden colony on Mars, one that may or may not be connected to the whole Mars Defense Force thing. Supposedly a group of elites, scientists, military personnel, government folks, have created a separate advanced society on Mars, and for decades they've been terraforming it to make it livable. These elites wanted to escape the troubles on Earth and establish a new society with their own rules and resources, their own club. I mean, they're elites. Why would they want to hang out with the lowly peons here on Earth, right?
There are a lot of conspiracy theories out there pertaining to the habitation of Mars, but of course, thanks to Elon Musk, there is also a lot of reality surrounding the idea of colonizing the foreign planet too. It was 2016 that Elon announced his controversial mission to Mars, stating that his goal was to make humans an interplanetary species by colonizing Mars, and that all he needed to make the project a success was funding and time. Since then, his American aerospace company SpaceX has been working tirelessly on accomplishing this very goal. Elon says that the first mission to Mars will be underway as soon as 2029, and it will be a terraforming mission. Terraforming meaning Earth shaping, a process that would involve modifying the atmosphere of Mars to make it more suitable to supporting human life. While the whole process would be incredibly difficult and incredibly expensive, there are many scientists that believe it is in fact possible. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and save up for your ticket if you're planning to go, because I have a feeling it's gonna be expensive. It's
well, you learn something. You learn something new every day, don't you? You learn what peon means.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know how to spell that word. You let me know in the comments if that is a real word, peon, and we'll catch you peons in the very next video.
Cheers.